Welcome to Standard 9 Social Science. I am Sakthivel Murugan, Social Science teacher. History Unit 4 Intellectual Awakening and Socio-Political Changes. Yes, students, in the last session we learned about religion in the 6th century BC, Confucianism, Taoism, principle of Confucianism, Taoism, Zoroastrianism and its teaching. In this session, we are going to learn about impact on iron technology in India, Jainism, ditching of Mahavira, split of Jainism, decline of Jainism. The next one, Buddhism, teaching of Buddha, split of Buddhism, decline of Buddhism. Yes, let us start to learn our today's topics. In the Gangetic Valley, people learned to produce crops more than that was required for subsistence. So, another section of people took up some professional crafts as their livelihood. Like the farmers, these craftsmen also had to rely on a group of people who collected raw materials and distributed the craft product. Early urbanization happened in two ways. One was as a result of some villages specializing in blacksmithy, pottery, carpentry, cloth weaving, and the like. The other was on account of the congregation of specialized craftsmen in villages close to where the raw materials were available and where markets were present. Such a concentration enabled villages to evolve into towns and exchange centers. Vaishali, Shravasti, Rajagriha, Kaushambi, and Kasi were some significant commercial centers of the Ganga plain. Religion, post-Rig Vedic. Three more Vedas, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, were composed after the Rig Veda. Manuals of rituals called Brahmanas specifying rhyming words to be sung, and two commentaries on certain Rig Vedic hymns called Aryankas containing knowledge to be learned secretly in the forest, and Upanishads were compiled in the upper Gangetic plain during 1000 to 600 BC. Jainism and Buddhism. In the Gangetic plain, iron plough agriculture required the use of bullocks, but the indiscriminate killing of cattle for Vedic rituals and sacrifices caused resentment. The founders of Jainism and Buddhism did not prescribe killing as a religious rite. They secured their livelihood mostly by arms. Celibacy and abstinence from holding property made the new teachers much more acceptable than the Brahmin priest. The people's resentment about the expensive and elaborate Vedic rituals, animal sacrifice, and the desires for wealth eventually took them towards Jainism and Buddhism. Mahavira and Buddha lived a life of purity and exemplified simplicity and self-denial. They lived in the times of Bimbisara and Ajatasattu, the famous kings of Magadha. The commercial development of the northern cities like Kausambi, Kushinagara, Benares, Vaisali, and Rajagir added importance to the Vaisyas who turned to Buddhism, Zoroastrianism with them, and they have been practicing it ever since, and Jainism in their eagerness to improve their social status. Jainism, Mahavira, birth and life. Vardhamana Mahavira, born in 599 BC at Kundagrama near Vaisali. His mother was Trishula, a Lichavi princess. He spent his early life as a prince and was married to a princess named Yasoda. The couple had a daughter. At the age of 30, he left his home and became an ascetic. For over 12 years, Mahavira wandered from place to place, subjecting himself to severe penance and self-mortification. In the 30th year of his asceticism, he acquired the highest knowledge and came to be known as Jaina and Mahavira. Jains believed that Mahavira came into a long line of Tirthankaras and he was the 24th and the last of them. Rishabha was the first Tirthankara and Parshvanath the penultimate or the 23rd. Mahavira traveled extensively as a preacher in the kingdom of Magadha, Videha and Anga. Magadha rulers Bimbisara and Ajatasattu were influenced by his teaching. Mahavira died at Pavapur in 527 BC at the age of 72. The statue of Bahubali, known as Komadeswara, 57 feet, at Saravana in Karnataka is the tallest Jaina statue ever carved out in Bahubali in India. Teaching of Mahavira. The three principles of Jainism, also known as three Ratnas, are the following: right faith, belief in the teachings and wisdom of Mahavira, right knowledge, acceptance of the theory that there is no God and that the world existed with a creator. Right action. It refers to the Mahavira's observance of the five great vows: ahimsa, honesty, kindness, truthfulness, and not coveting or desiring things belongs to others. Spread of Jainism. In order to spread his new faith, Mahavira found monasteries and engaged munis who led a very austere life. In North India, this new faith was patronized by rulers such as Tanananda, Chandragupta Maurya and Karavela. There was a notable following for Jainism is Karnataka and Western India during the 4th century BC. Jainism encouraged the public spirit among all who embraced it. Varna system practiced by Brahmins was challenged. People were spared from the costly and elaborate rituals. People were spared from the costly and elaborate rituals and sacrifices. Mahavira believed that all objects, both animate and inanimate, have souls and various degrees of consciousness. They possess life and feel pain when they are injured. Split in Jainism. In course of time, Jainism split into two branches, namely the Digambaras and the Svedambaras. The Digambaras were the orthodox followers of Mahavira. The Digambaras rejected class and altogether. Svedambaras wear a white dress from head to toe. Decline of Jainism. The lack of royal patronage, its severity, factionalism and the spread of Buddhism led to the decline of Jainism in India. Buddhism. Gautama Buddha. Birth and life of Gautama Buddha was the son of Sudodana, the chief of Kshatriya clan of the Sakyas of Kapilavastu in present-day Nepal. His given name was Siddhartha. As he belonged to the Sakya clan, he was also known as Sakya Muni. He was born in 567 BC in Lumbini garden near Kapilavastu. His mother, Maya Devi, died after a few days of his towards worldly affairs. His father got him married at the age of 16 to a princess called Yasodhara. He led a happy married life for some time and had a son named Rahul. One evening, while Siddhartha was passing through the city, he came across an old man who had been abandoned by his relatives, a sick man crying with pain and a dead body surrounded by weeping relatives. Siddhartha was deeply moved by these sights. He also saw an ascetic who had renounced the world and found no sign of sorrows. These four great sights prompted him to renounce the world and search for the cause of sufferings. In 537 BC, he left his palace and went into the forest in search of truth. In the course of his wanderings, he sat under a peepal tree for several days until he attained enlightenment. The place where he attained enlightenment and Mahabodhi temple still exists in Bodhgaya, that is the present Bihar state. After his enlightenment, Buddha decided to impart his knowledge to the people. He went to Varanasi and gave his first sermon at Saranath. He preached in the kingdom of Magadha and Kosala. A large number of people became his followers, including his own family. After 45 years of preaching, he breathed his last in 487 BC at Kusinagara at the age of 80. Teaching of Buddhism. Four great truths. There is suffering and sorrow in the world. The cause of human suffering is desire and craving. The pain or sorrow can be removed by suppressing desire or craving. This is to be achieved by leading a disciplined life or by following what Buddha called the Noble Eightfold Path. Attainment of Nirvana. According to Buddha, a person should aim at attainment of Nirvana or the highest bliss, and it should be achieved by any person by leading a virtuous life and by following the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path, Buddha preached a new path to attain the purest state of mind. Right views, right aspiration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right contemplations or meditation. Buddha preached that who practices the Eightfold Path can attain the highest and purest state of mind. Spread of Buddhism. Buddha, in order to carry his message to different parts of India, established the Buddhist Sangha or the holy order of monks. The Bhikshus and Bhikkhunis were enlisted for spreading the faith, and they were required to lead a life of purity and poverty. Buddhism spread to Central Asia, Sri Lanka, Tibet, Southeast Asia, as well as eastern countries of China, Mongolia, Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. The split of Buddhism. During the reign of Kanishka, the Buddhist monk Nagarjuna initiated reforms in the way of Buddhism, and being followed as a result, Buddhism was split into two, Hinayana and Mahayana. The Hinayana was the original creed preached by Buddha. The followers of this from regarded Buddha as their guru and did not worship him as God. They denied idol worship and continued with the people's language Pali. The Mahayana Buddha. Mahayana Buddha was worshipped as God and Bodhisattva as his previous avatar. The followers made image and statue of Buddha and Bodhisattva and offered prayers and recited hymns in their praise. Later, they wrote their religious books in Sanskrit. This form of Buddhism was patronized by Kanishka. Decline of Buddhism. Buddhism declined in India due to the following reasons. Buddhism was popular in the beginning because it was preached in people's language. The later texts were written in Sanskrit, which was difficult for the common people to understand. The split in Buddhism into Hinayana and Mahayana was another vital reason. Image worship in Mahayana made no difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. Buddhism lost its royal patronage during the period of Guptas, for the invasions of Kuns and Turks almost wiped out Buddhism. Yes, students, I hope you maybe understand the topic whatever we study in this session. Thank you. We'll see the next session.